The op-ed is entitled, "GITMO is Killing Me." This is a very powerful piece. It's published in the New York Times by a prisoner at Guantanamo Bay. And in it he writes, "I've been on a hunger strike since February 10th and have lost well over 30 pounds.
Yeah, he says, "I will not eat until they restore my dignity." Now, this prisoner says he's been jailed for more than 11 years, has never received a trial. He's not even been charged with anything, he says. I could have been home years ago, he said. No one seriously thinks I'm a threat, but still I am here. Years ago, the military said I was a guard for Osama bin Laden, but this was nonsense. He goes on to say he became sick last month and refused to eat. In the op-ed, he describes being force-fed.
They tie me to a chair in my cell. My arms, legs, and head are strapped down. I never know when they will come. Sometimes they come during the night as late as 11 p.m. I want to bring in our Chris Lawrence from the Pentagon to explain this. Very unusual that you hear from a prisoner of war in an op-ed. How did this come about, and is there any response to what he is going through, or what he alleges he is going through inside GITMO?
This isn't normal, first of all, Suzanne, but then there's nothing normal about this situation down at GITMO, especially recently. I mean, just over the weekend, there was a violence broke out between some of the inmates and the guards because of what the inmates consider that hunger strike. Basically, what had happened, in speaking to some of the officials, is the inmates had disabled some of the cameras in their cells, in their individual cells, and so the decision was made to move them out of these communal areas and put everyone into sort of single cells. That didn't go over so well with some of the prisoners. I'm told at least one of the prisoners was able to fashion a sort of baton made out of shredded water bottles and scotch taped up. There were some bruises on several of the prisoners in the altercation with the guards. Also, one of the prisoners suffered a laceration. So this has been a period of heightened tension, so to speak, between some of the prisoners who are on this hunger strike and then some of the guards as well.
Yeah, Chris, I suppose politically it's a difficult one for the US too. It's sort of, how does the US criticise other countries' human rights when they've got somebody in their custody saying, I haven't even been charged with anything for 11 years? You've been down there. You've seen the conditions there. Tell us about it.
Well, let's lay it out. First of all, there are 166 prisoners left right now at Guantanamo Bay. I talked with an official here who said, look, despite what was written in the editorial, he said all of the so-called sold-in prisoners are long gone. Those are the guys who got ratted out by rivals trying to get them in trouble. He said they're long gone. He said the people who are left now, the 166, are the ones who need to be there. They continue to be a danger. Of those 166, 43 are determined to be hunger striking right now, but only 13 are being fed intravenously like this prisoner is having done. They say, the officials here at the Pentagon say, most of those 13 just sit in the chair. They get the meals usually twice a day, and it doesn't happen like that. There is no fighting. There is no, sort of altercation. But they say they do follow the Bureau of Prisons protocols in that if they are being detained, they feel they have an obligation to make sure that they are being fed. And if they miss more than 9 meals, they're considered to be on a hunger strike, and they have to be fed.
So, Chris, what are they going to do with this particular detainee? I mean, how are they explaining how this has all come about?
Well, basically, they're pushing back on this whole op-ed. I just want to read a little clip from one of the Pentagon officials' pushback on this, who say, unlike those in the press who willfully pass along enemy propaganda under the guise of an editorial, and unlike a few members of the defense bar who would hold their detainee clients up for public curiosity, the department does not discuss these individual detainees who are not currently before the military commissions. So, in other words, he's not before a commission right now. But again, that ties into his argument saying, I've been here for 11 years and I'm still not before trial.
Yeah, extraordinary. Chris, thanks so much. Appreciate that. Chris Lawrence there at the Pentagon. Really does hurt US in terms of what it can say to other countries about human rights. They can turn around and say that.
It's so controversial. I mean, every administration, President Bush, now President Obama, they've been trying to close GITMO down, and it is a very difficult thing for them to do. I mean, lots of negotiations with various countries.
Yeah,
so
indeed. All right, here's more of what we're working on this hour for Around